Hi, everyone. A very warm welcome to today's webinar. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're really glad to have you here. My name is Dani. I am the enrollments manager for the King's College London team at Fourth Rev. I work very closely with learners every day who are exploring new career paths, and I'm excited to guide you through today's session. The goal of today's webinar is simple. It's to help you explore how the King's College London UX and UI product design career accelerator provides the tools, the structure, and the support you need to succeed in a product design career, and will provide you with insider viewpoints into the career accelerator itself from an expert panel. So, with that being said, I would just encourage you to add any Q questions that you have in the Q&A box at the bottom, and we'll try and get to those at the end with our panel. And I'd like to, welcome my panel to introduce themselves as well.
Hello, how are you, everyone? I'm Justin. I am a product designer and user researcher who had joined Fourth Rev, I think 2 or 3 years ago now to build this program. So I'm both working as a subject lead and the product manager, if you will, for the course. And then I teach one or two cohorts every year as well. So happy to be here and share anything I can about the course.
Hi, my name's Adele. I'm one of the career coaches here on with Fourth Rev. I've been with Fourth Rev, gosh, I think 3+ years now. So I've worked with a number of cohorts across a range of career accelerators, really helping the learners take what they've learned and those new skills, see how they can package it up and put themselves out to market to move forward in their career, secure a new role, or gain that promotion.
Thank you so much. It's great to have you both here, and I'm excited to, just highlight a few key benefits of the King's Career Accelerator and then get into some questions with you. Um, Firstly, one of the major benefits of this program is that you'll earn a certificate from King's College London. That's a really strong credential that helps you stand out from a crowd. Second, you'll get real personal support throughout, including access to a career coach like Adele and a success manager. Third, the training is industry aligned. So the curriculum is built alongside product design experts, so your skills stay relevant to industry. You'll also build a portfolio through hands-on real-world projects, not just theory. And the program includes content, live sessions, and employer-style projects shaped by industry experts. You'll be working with tools like Figma and Dropbox, and past learners have collaborated on employer projects with partners like Creative Navy and DocuSign. If this sounds like the right next step for you, the next intake does begin on the 9th of February and applications are open. They'll remain open until the program is full and spaces are limited on it. And I will say this, that January is our most popular cohort start date. Everyone's starting the new year, new me. So if this is something that you're seriously considering, pop questions in the Q&A box. I'd love to talk to you, or you can book a session with your enrollment advisor if you haven't already. All right, let's get into some panel questions. Justin, can you give us some insight into the program's structure, a little bit about the core modules, the employer projects? How does this relate to what's in demand in the industry right now?
Yeah, sure. So I will start by reiterating what you just said, that it is fully project based. So like everything we teach, we have content, of course, that you read and videos that you watch, but everything centers around a project or projects that you're working on throughout the program. So the program is divided into three core key courses, plus an employer project, plus we have an AI learning track as well. So course one is like all about an introduction to product design, and then also the foundation of what we call discovery and research work that you usually do before you start designing. It's central to being a product designer. So we spend the first 6 weeks doing that, and then in course two we dig into the UX design. So doing user flows, doing wireframes, learning how to prototype, learning how to test your prototypes with users. And when I say test with users, like the project that you're working on, you are doing real research with real users. You are building a real prototype. You are testing it with real people. So it's like you're doing the work. You're not just like simulating the work. So you're getting real experience. Um, and then in course 3, we move beyond UX design and into what we call UI design or user interface design, which is the high fidelity, like pixel perfect things that when you look at your apps on your phone today, when you see it in that perfect quality. We teach the visual design behind that and how to build prototypes in that way, how to hand off to developers and work in product teams. So we really do teach the basically kind of like the product lifecycle or the product design work cycle end to end. Throughout the program, we also host 1.5 to 2 hour master classes, basically around each course. You get around 3. So one focuses on, or for AI master classes, one focuses on using AI for productivity. I'd say that's like 80% of what people in the product design space are using it today. We'll talk about that later. Then we go into AI for design, so actually using it to do your designs, and then building AI products themselves, like something that's AI powered or AI backed. And of course, like your facilitators every week, you have live classes with them that are completely optional if you want to do it async, but they also are using AI day to day. So they will teach you. It's not like you only touch on AI in these, three workshops. And then we have the employer project, which Dani mentioned. That's at the end of your 3 courses. When you put up all your strong experience, you then go and work in teams with other designers on a real life project. You mentioned Creative Navy, DocuSign. We've done it with Sky. We did a voice design project with Sky that some cohorts may get next year. It's pretty exciting. We've worked with another company called Salient Bio. That's like biotechnology. So you do have an opportunity to do a real project and something strong to put in your portfolio along with all the other project work you do throughout the program.
Yeah, I think this program is about 50% practice based, and that's such a benefit of doing a program like this. You have that tangible outcome, and the curriculum it's industry aligned, it's career orientated, and all components of the Career Accelerator really are aligned to help you achieve that. And Adele, that's where you come in. Can you elaborate a little bit more on the coaching function, and how this really sets our learners up for success?
Yeah, sure. So, I think it's about getting the skills, but it's then also about how do you position yourself and put yourself out to market. And that's where the coaching function comes in. So you're not just finishing the Career Accelerator with these new skills, but still going, oh, I don't know how to get a job. The coaching, each learner gets an individual coach to work with over 12 months. They also have access to their own Your Career portal, which has everything you ever need for career development, for job search. And then alongside that, there's also masterclasses that we run on everything from mindset, go-to-market strategy for your job search, portfolios. We've got drop-in sessions on CVs on LinkedIn profile. So there's not anything that's missed in terms of all the support you need for the career development. And really we work very closely with each learner, tailoring it to what they need to get them the outcome that they want. So people might be coming and actually want to advance in their current role and the current business that they're working for. They might want to set up their own business, or they might want to, be doing a totally kind of 180 career pivot. And we've got, all the resources to support that. And really it starts with building that inner confidence and the inner mindset muscle, because we can't change what we're going to get externally if we don't change what we kind of think, feel and believe. And I think what's great, the combination of the skills and the coaching, as you said, it's very much kind of the tangible skills that you're learning as well as the theory. And the coaches work with you to really kind of become the UX, UI designer, product designer that you want to be. And so then you're putting a new kind of version of yourself out to market with the support around your LinkedIn profile, networking strategy, confidence building. And, you know, it's so amazing to kind of see that transformation that learners go through with the combination.
Yeah, it is absolutely incredible. And the career coaching is definitely a major benefit of taking this career accelerator. Um, Adele did touch on something quite important. You get access to your coach for 12 months. The career accelerator itself is 6 months in duration. So there's support 6 months after the program with your career coach to guide you every step of the way after the career accelerator. Let's look at one of our alumni's success stories. We showcase these for a reason. They cut through the marketing noise and they show us that real people actually got results from this program. We also have a YouTube channel that is a whole library of learner stories. Really can encourage you to go have a look. We host uh, many webinars with our learners just so that you can hear from them and their perspectives. Also, if you're, still wanting to speak to and reach out to a learner, that's absolutely an option. You can chat to your enrollment advisor and we can potentially schedule that for you. If I can call on you again, Adele, what is it like to hear these stories of success and to watch them unfold throughout the program? Do you have any favorite moments that you'd like to share with us?
Oh gosh, I have so many. I mean, this is why I do the job. Some of them just bring me, goosebumps. Because it's just amazing. It's amazing to see that career change. There's always kind of people in the market that's going to say, oh, it's not possible to change your career. And I'm like, no, it totally is, because we've worked with so many people that have had massive 180 80 pivots. We also, and I didn't say this when I was talking about the coaching, we bring past learners back and we do what's called a fireside chat. I recently did this on one of the other career accelerators where a learner's come back and is now on her second role since leaving the career accelerator. So what you learn and the kind of the coaching work doesn't stop in terms of just getting the next job. This is really setting you up and kind of future proofing your career as you move forward in the direction that you want to go. On the a recent one on the UX UI career accelerator, it was somebody that was working in a totally unrelated field, had been very unhappy for a number of years. I think he's around mid-30s, kind of heading into the 40s, and was like, I don't want to kind of go into, my next decade doing a job that I don't like and following a career path that's not right and not fitting for me. Has come and done the career accelerator, totally embraced it, built a portfolio from the work, found additional projects outside of the career accelerator work, really embraced building a new LinkedIn profile, embraced becoming a UX UI designer with his personal brand on LinkedIn, went out there networking and has recently started a role. And to see someone that was really unhappy and unfulfilled in the past career step into this new level of joy, fulfillment, and happiness, it's why I do my job. So there's so many, because I've worked across so many different career accelerators, and I've seen, what could be deemed as quite weird, wacky, but then wonderful career development stories. So wherever anyone's sitting, I just like to go, it is possible. And, we can share the stories if you need more.
I love that. I think everyone does come onto the Career Accelerator with a different goal and a different end in mind. And the career coaches, Adele, you definitely help mold that and transform those next steps for the learners. And I think that's, yeah, such a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for you and for the learners on the program.
Yeah. If I just jump in, because we kick off, one of the kind of first things we do, and there's a masterclass, and it's not necessarily on the goal setting, because I think that's the easy bit. It's the goal getting. And this is, it's a game changer. And we work with, each individual around what's your vision and what's your mission. And let's see what are the steps and the roadmap that we need to put together to bring this to life. And, I think each career coach becomes as invested as the learner in making sure this happens for them. So there's lots of kind of new perspectives that you get working with a coach. Whereas if you're trying to kind of go it alone, isn't always possible because you don't know the questions to ask. You're looking at it from a goal setting point of view versus a goal getting point of view. So yeah, it's a great experience to kind of work with people on.
I love that. Um, what do you think some of the common challenges that learners face coming into the program, and how do they overcome these?
I think the big thing is the belief.
Hmm.
And that really is, if you are trying to kind of go it alone without the support of coaching can be a tricky point. I've been there previously, and most of the coaches actually have done more than one career pivot. So they've walked their talk. What the coaching really does, and the way that the career accelerator is set up, because you're not just learning the theory, you're learning the practical. And it's actually you stepping in every day to becoming the version of you that you want when you leave the career accelerator. I think the fact that we have the employer project and I see the transformation of learners as they go in and come out of the employer project. So they really start owning their newfound skills. And the coaching and the mindset work helps kind of them really step into owning the fact they can do this job. So the challenges are when you're kind of looking into the future of where you are now and where you want to be, it can seem like a big bridge to build. But I think the way that it's been set up with the learning, with the coaching, you're building the bridge kind of one brick at a time. And it's small steps create big leaps. And like I say, you pop out of that employer project. Then we have what we call the sprint sessions, which is the go-to-market strategy. It's a small group over 5 weeks where we really take aligned action to get you the role. And you're working together in a group with people of different career accelerators. So it's so great to see this little kind of group support come together. And then people really, you're practicing your elevator pitch, you're practicing your network strategy. People then really are like, I'm a UX designer. I can do this. And it's like the minute you have that belief in yourself, the roles start coming. So what can seem like a challenge, it is really just one brick at a time. You build that bridge, and it can happen.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, the career coaching, building that confidence coupled with the tangible outcomes of having a digital portfolio to showcase and really confidently speak to what you can achieve as a UX designer. It's an unmatched result.
Absolutely.
So, just to chat a little bit to our panel, and answer a few questions that might be on our audience's mind. What advice do you have for someone pursuing a career in UX and UI product design? And Justin, maybe I'll lean on you to take this one first.
Yeah, sure. I think like kind of the first thing to do that I think you would do if you were changing any career is to like explore the industry and in the role. So if you know people that are working in the field, talk to them. If you don't, find connections through connections. Attend events like this, obviously, is very good. Try to find, those articles of like leaders that you can follow, like on LinkedIn in the design space, and see what they're talking about. See if it interests you. Um, of course, you can use ChatGPT or whatever AI you use to, ask questions and understand it a bit more. But definitely talking to people will give you some real perspective, or attending events like this. Then I think kind of exploring with some of the basic fundamentals to see if you like it would be good. So like Figma is the biggest design tool that's used these days. So you could just do a really small free online tutorial or YouTube or Figma thing just to see if it's kind of like if it interests you. And you could also, use AI to help you there. But I think that just gives you like a teaser, a taste of like, do I enjoy doing this? Does it seem fun? That combination of talking to people and like exploring actually doing it. If you're interested in research, then like run a little research project. Then I would look, of course, and I know that Adele and career coaches would say this, at your transferable skills. So especially for people, and pretty much everyone we take is required to have a certain amount of work experience. you probably have strong work experience somewhere else. And like, even if you may be relatively junior or less experienced in, let's say, product design, if you have worked with at a senior level with teams before and you've done lots of stakeholder management and communication, that's like absolutely key for the role. So that goes a long way versus hiring someone who's like fresh out of university and maybe has the same design skills, but they've got no work experience. You'll have a leg up on that a lot of career changers get. So definitely look at that. And then when you're more proactive and ready, and sometimes this takes place during the course, Adele was alluding to it, start increasing your visibility online and talking to people like about how you're positioning yourself for what you want. And then my last bit of advice would be to upskill yourself on AI for product design specifically because you have a lot of people who have been in the industry for a long time and might be a bit slower to adopt it, or senior team members that are really great designers, but they don't know as much about the AI front and they want to hire someone who is like, constantly testing and toying with tools and they're going to introduce that to their team. So they might, if they're hiring 3 designers, maybe they pick 2 that are stronger designers, but that one that has that really strong like AI curiosity and testing and doing new stuff, they hire that person as well because they want to include that in their team. So I think that's definitely a way to stand out is the AI stuff, and we do teach that through our facilitators in our AI learning track on the program.
Thanks so much. I think that that's really great advice. And from coming from someone in the industry, I think it really, really holds value there. You did touch a little bit on, building a portfolio as well and starting there. Is there any tips that you would have for a real standout portfolio?
Yeah. I think, now I think about it, this question is probably a bit premature for the group on this call. Like, you don't need to be putting together your portfolio yet unless you're going out to look for the role. But it is about, like, if you are in that position, you really only need to put 3 to 5 relevant case studies. So, we give you plenty more than that. We have this like portfolio mapping document from all the activities we give you, and there's like a plethora of options to choose from. Of course, a lot center around the main project, but they can be divided up in many ways. So, putting that case study together, the most important thing for me, especially when I've been hiring designers and researchers in the past, is like make it skimmable. Like it should be able to, I mean, often I will be looking at like, I've got 10 minutes and I need to like look through 20 uh, portfolios to like iron it down. So I like really need to like skim through quickly and see who I'm whittling it down. And then when you get that interview, that's when we dive into the detail and you walk through your process. It's very important that you show your process in the portfolio. So making it skimmable so it stands out, the same as you might for a CV, but it's like there's definitely levels to the portfolio. You should allow different people to read. And then lastly, I would say test it with someone like, you know, put it in front of someone else who's maybe a designer or who's hiring, or like obviously in this course, you can share it with your facilitators or your career coaches. But our facilitators, by the way, are industry experts. They're not like just people that lead classes, they're product designers themselves. So, yeah, definitely test it with other people, particularly other designers, and if possible, a hiring person. And if
Yeah.
you don't have projects, like if you want to get started before the course, then like think about apps that you want to improve, do something on that. You can just do that on your own. Find design challenges online. There's like dailyui.com, and then you can volunteer for like a charity. They're looking for free work all the time. So there are other ways that you can build up your portfolio outside of this program as well.
Awesome, thanks. As the enrollments manager, I'll say the portfolio, the digital portfolio of evidence is one of the main outcomes of the Career Accelerator. So if you are stuck at that point, it's something that we guide you through from start to finish through the Career Accelerator. And I believe there's masterclasses and workshops around it where you'll also get engaged with your colleagues and, as Justin said, kind of get other eyes on your portfolio to give you advice and feedback, especially from industry experts, but also your peers. Justin, you did touch a little bit on AI and utilizing it. based on your experience, how do you believe AI is being used best in the industry right now?
Yeah, I mean, being used versus being used best is two different things, I suppose. But I would say probably similar to every other industry that like 80% of the use, if we're doing like the classic 80/20 rule, is probably like focused around productivity. So people are using AI to speed up the design process, the workflow process. So in product design, that might be on the research side, like generating your initial research plans or like analyzing your interviews. And of course, there's software specific to product design and research that helps with this stuff. Um, you might use it to create like what we call user stories or tickets for the development that you're working against for your workflow. Um, you can use it to work as like especially when you're like relatively junior and maybe for example you're creating research questions and you're not sure if it's a biased question or a leading question. You can ask AI to check that for any biases and make suggestions. So um, I would say that's the biggest place that it's being used. And of course, we have a master class on that. But then uh, there are teams that are using it for the actual like execution of the design. So we teach not in the course itself, but in the master. Well, you can use it in the course, but we teach UX Pilot in our master class, which is an AI first tool, and that's like drafting wireframes and UI layouts. And I'd say it's not heavily adopted by teams yet, but there are people exploring with it, and that is, I think, the direction of the field ultimately. I don't know if it's like in the immediate future, but AI will probably be doing like 80%. If we're doing 80/20 rule again, we'll be doing like 80% of the design, and the designer will be focusing on like the strategy, refining it, making sure the branding is right, that it's unique. They're not just like spitting out the same thing that everyone else is doing using AI. So I think that will be really big. And then, of course, the other aspect of AI is like a lot of designers are designing AI products. So, of course, you have people that are designing, AI tools like, let's say, ChatGPT, for example. But then you have other people that are maybe designing like Strava is like a fitness app. They have like an AI feature in it. So there is a product designer who had to think about how that works, and they're very different from like, well, not very different, but they have subtle differences to existing experiences. So that's a big field of designing and building, of course, AI products. So yeah, there's a lot. It's definitely if you're not using it, obviously, like in any field, you're going to be, I think, left behind mostly due to the productivity factor. And then ultimately, maybe for the actual like designs, like maybe AI can come up with like more clever variations of a user flow that you were thinking of than you initially. I don't know if it's there yet, but yeah, I definitely think it needs to be something that's in everyone's wheelhouse.
Absolutely, and especially because of the ever evolving nature of something like AI. And so it's important
Yeah.
also to do a program that has this industry link so that you can see how it's being used in industry and not get left behind.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can also answer. There's one question from the panel that maybe I'll answer because it's related to this. It's you mentioned the AI learning track. Given how fast AI tools evolve, how do you make sure AI content does not become outdated halfway through the 6 months? So we run the masterclass series twice per year. And so like what's kind of cool about the masterclass too is that you will join your session with other cohorts in the same session. So you get a chance to like meet other people from different cohorts. And that gets updated every 6 months. And then what likely will happen, depending on the maturity of the AI, which is happening in some of our other programs at Fourth Rev, is it starts to get integrated deeper into the content, which we've avoided simply for the purpose of your question, that it does get outdated and updated very fast, particularly when it comes to design tools right now. So that's how we keep it. We keep it up to date. You do have some AI content like in the actual course content itself, but then the learning track's updated, and then more importantly, the facilitator who leads a session every week usually has a segment within that weekly session where they talk about how they're applying AI to that topic on a day to day or on a week to week. So you know realistically what people are doing then and there, as opposed to reading something that could be 12 months out of date, for example.
Yeah. Uh, Very relevant question. But thank you so much, Justin, for jumping on that. If if you haven't already, take a moment to type your questions. I know that we have touched on one a little bit early, but pop your questions in the Q&A box. Justin, Adele, and myself would love to answer your questions in real time while we're here, while we have some time. And then, yeah, if you also just want to kind of share what your aspirations are, what excites you about UX and UI, why you're looking and exploring a program like this, we love to hear a little bit from you. I'm going to open the Q&A box again, and I'm going to ask some of the questions that have come through, and hopefully we can chat to them a little bit.
I have a feeling a lot will come my way,
I think
which is
so.
totally fine.
Okay, should I throw one to Adele first?
It doesn't matter.
Give
It
you a
doesn't
little
matter.
break from the last slide. Um, Adele, how do you measure whether your coaching for a student is effective?
Good question. It's really seeing that they're moving forward, that they're feeling more, if it's confidence that we're working on, if it's perhaps building their personal brand. So we set, there's the career goal that we're looking at to achieve. We're setting the milestones, and are we working towards those milestones? The coaches are there to kind of facilitate the journey, not do it for them. So I do use an analogy with the coaching. It is a little bit like going in the gym and having a personal trainer. The personal trainer could do the sit-ups, you're not going to get the six-pack. So it's, the personal trainer is helping you do it. So it is kind of some teamwork that needs to go on, but it's really looking at those measures that we're trying to achieve, and is that is that moving forward? I think also, we bring a different perspective. So it's if then the learner is asking themselves different questions, seeing things differently, changing habits and behaviors that maybe in the past has held them back, and now, some new habits and behaviors driving them forward. So hopefully that kind of answers. And if they're doing the work, they see the outcome.
I love that. I love that analogy, Adele. I'm gonna probably use that in a few more webinar sessions. Um, Justin, beyond Figma, what tools will we use and how deep do we go? Will we touch research tools, analytics, or prototyping frameworks? And I'm going to couple it with another question about around Figma. Is it a paid for account included in the program?
Okay, sure, yeah. So our learners use the free Figma account, which ends up being uh, more than enough for each learner. And then, of course, after the program, when you join a company, usually they're included with paid accounts. In terms of tools we use, Figma is the main tool. I mean, of course, we use like collaborative platforms that you might be familiar with. We recommend Miro, but you can use any other one that you want. In terms of designing, which is like the main thing that we're teaching, Figma is the primary tool that's taught. So you do your prototyping in Figma, you do your design in Figma. Um, you of course can use other tools if you wanted to for design, but that's what we teach against. We have tutorials and stuff against that. I mentioned AI tools, so we do introduction to like UX Pilot and how you can use other AI tools to support you, but they're not like fundamental to completing the course. Um, we introduce tools like Google Analytics, so we'll give you a link to their demo account and giving you an intro of what it's like to deal with data tools such as that in Hotjar and other things like that, heat mapping tools, but we don't ask you or teach you in detail any of those tools. So you're not be going through it. And in a lot of product design roles, in most, you're not expected to know those tools inside out, or at least they're very easy to learn on the job. Like Hotjar is very simple to get your head around. So the most important tool to learn is the Figma tool because that's really the only hard skill that's challenging for most, and it's definitely the biggest hurdle in terms of product design. So that's why we focus on that tool. The rest are any other tool that's used in another organization. Let's say they talked about research. Dovetail is like a popular one for research, or usertesting.com. We will give demos, usually the facilitator, and show them what they use. Like I might go through Ultimate Workshop and show my card sorting exercises, but like these are things that aren't critical to getting the job and can't be learned on the job. For research, you're just going to be using Zoom or Google Hangout or live session, and not like a research tool to record your sessions.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And then the Figma account is not paid for on the program.
Yeah, I think I mentioned at the beginning,
Yeah.
it's free. It's the free account
Yeah.
that's used. Yeah.
And you can start using it already if you wanted
Yeah, of
to.
course. Yeah, yeah.
For the employer project, do we work directly with a company or is it a simulated brief? Who decides the quality benchmark there?
Okay, yeah. So it is uh, probably a combination of working directly with the company and working with Forthrev. So the way the employer project works is we uh, work with the employer to create the brief for that cohort's project. Sometimes it runs one or two cohorts. Other times the project has completed and we do a new brief for the same client, like Salient Bio. We've done a different one each time because they're, first they build their dashboard, then they want to build their onboarding process. So they are real projects that get created. To ensure the quality, that's part of like where Forthrev comes in. And so the touch points with the employer are usually the brief at the beginning. There's usually a Q&A that first week with the employer to ask any questions about the brief. Then we have a midpoint review. So they will review the work done to date. And depending on the employer, sometimes it's a design team and they will feedback on the design. Sometimes it's like a product manager, a business person. So we have our own facilitators will feedback on a specific design, and the employer will feedback on like whether it's meeting business needs or not. And at the end, you do a pitch to the actual employer of your team's project. So that's usually a 20 to 25-minute pitch with time for Q&A, and you get direct feedback from the employer. But I'd say in terms of the quality, like we work with them to make sure that the brief both A, gets the employer what they're looking to get out of the project, but then also make sure that the project is like really good for our learners to build their portfolio experience, to gain experience, to talk about in their CV. So like I'm usually the specific person that's actually doing like the creating of the briefs with those employers. So it's a very back and forth process with them. Yeah.
Awesome. Some real hands-on experience there, which is great. Okay, so let's see. What makes this program different from others out there, and how much time is needed in a day? That's a great question. I'm happy to answer it, Justin, unless you want to jump in there.
I can do it and you can add if you want. So I think like one of the biggest things we've touched upon, but I don't think it's realized enough, is like the level of support that you get throughout the program. So you're going to get it from the career coaches, which you heard, and the career coaching package is pretty large considering what you pay and get for the program, from what I understand when I look at competitors. And then also the student success support. So we have a success manager that's working with your cohort every week, like making sure you're like keeping up to pace, you're having questions answered, that they helped you. And then we have facilitators that also tend to respond within 24 to 48 hours to your questions about content, ways to do things, feedback, plus the 1 hour live session a week and a 30-minute Q&A session at the end of the week. So there's a lot of support that I don't think you get with other programs. And at the same time, you could choose to do it completely async if you wanted to. You could like, you don't have to do the live sessions. You can watch the recording. You don't technically don't have to do the coaching, although I think it'd be silly not to leverage that. And then part of the third thing is obviously our tie with King's. So we have that kind of higher education quality tie. I mean, it's not technically a graduate course, but it's like graduate level teaching. And then because it's King's, we don't just value like corporate learning. Like for every example we give of something in product design for corporate, we give an example I think our rule is for every 2 examples we give of corporate, there's one that's third sector or government. And, it's not just about, the money, and we have like topics on ethics in the course. And so if you want to go a little bit beyond just the business side of things and add an extra element, or you're interested in government or third sector, although I wouldn't say that we're a focus. You're not going to get like massive heavily content specific to that, but it is factored in with everything that we teach.
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up, Justin. I think just to wrap it all up nicely, the Career Accelerator does fit somewhere between if you're deciding between a master's, just work experience, or a boot camp, we kind of fit into the middle and give you the academic rigor from and prestige from an institute like King's. We give you, 50% of the program is practice based, and it's how does that academic side and the theory side fit into and align with industry. And we update the topics as we go along, as Justin mentioned, with the AI master track
Yeah.
and any
Yeah, we
tools that
do.
come into play.
Yeah, exactly. And you do get like master's level marking as well to give you feedback, which you can choose to focus on or not focus on, because employers don't look at your marks at the end, but they are indicative of how well you're doing. But we know you have busy lives, so you may like choose to like forego great marks for 2 or 3 weeks and do better marks the other weeks, and that's fine as long as you receive a passing mark of 50%, which is possible. So you do get that kind of marking quality in the course as well. I didn't answer the learning hours question, so I believe we mark it 16 to 20 hours, which is quite substantial. I would say in course one, especially the beginning, you can spend less time on that. You could maybe spend like 12 to 15. Um, and then in the design modules where you're learning how to use Figma, especially if you've never done it before, the hours can be quite substantial, like closer to 20. So it does go up and down, but I would say you can have many weeks under 15, and then those design weeks could, if you've first time design, they could push to 20.
Yeah.
There's only a handful of the design weeks too as well. So, um, 1 or 2 months. So it's not all the time you're working a ton.
But it is important to remember it's a 6 month program, and a lot of our learners are coming in as career changers and are coming from a different background. And you're upskilling in a brand new field, and you want to be able to pivot your career. There is a certain component of investment in terms of your time and your discipline to do that. So yeah. We do have a lot of questions around that. Someone coming from a different career, how easy is it to grasp the training, and kind of what does the industry right now look like for hiring UX and UI roles? I know that we don't have a recruiter on the panel with us. We have hosted webinars, I think, a few weeks ago with a recruiter on the webinar, but maybe Justin and Adele, I don't know if you want to touch a little bit
Uh,
on that.
yeah, I can do that. I mean, well, on people changing careers, like the whole point of the course is to, I'd say the primary target would be someone who's changing career, so you can start from zero and be fine. We do recommend people actually in course one do some daily UI challenges and practice with Figma a bit. So when you get to course two, you don't have to have those 20-hour weeks. You can have a 15-hour week instead, for example. So yeah, you can start from complete scratch. But then also we have a lot of people that are maybe 1 to 2 years into product design or UX design, don't have, or maybe they're like just doing user research and they want to expand. This gives them a chance to like build more formal learning, and so they can advance their career. So you can have zero or a couple years or 1 or 2 years experience, and it'd be fine. Um, yeah, competition, I would say there's a few similarities across like most industries we're seeing. Well, first I would say that like even though it is definitely competitive, that product design is still like one of the fastest and biggest growing jobs. Like it's still growing a ton, but it is more competitive. And I think that's a lot down to just the general leanness that a lot of teams are having across any industry these days. So employers are looking for someone that's uh, autonomous and can pick up the ground running and like has some experience. And so, yeah, I think I saw somewhere like less than 5% are like pure, complete entry level roles. And that's where a program like this gives you a leg up because you're not just coming in like an entry level person. You're like actually showing like, oh, I can actually do uh, wireframing, I can actually do prototyping, I can actually do research. They're looking for like the bar is basically higher now than it was, for example, when I would have. So I'm a career changer as well, but when I changed career, the bar was definitely lower, and now it is higher, partly because of the competition. And the other thing that's also happening due to lean teams is specific roles within the product design field are cut first. So like traditionally, I tell people like learn to be a product designer end to end. Like, don't just learn research, don't just learn UX design. Like, for example, research, usually one of the first roles to get cut. And then they expect the product designers to do the research, which is why, at the course, we teach all of it. Like, you need to be able to cover like a lot of ground as a product designer, not just do UI designs or UX designs. So actually doing the hybrid product design role is more important than ever in today's climate, as opposed to, I mean, you can focus on those roles. If it's really your passion, go for research, focus on that. I've done that, but my job opportunity has definitely been limited in the past because my career is focused more on the research side or the service design side and less on the UI side. If you can do both, your opportunities are open. And some people are only hiring hybrids and a lot of people aren't doing both.
I think also I doubt, pretty sure we're about to say the same thing, but it does depend on your transferable skills as well. I don't think anyone is coming into this program with nothing that can be related to give you a little bit step up in the industry. And Adele, I'll hand over to you after that.
Yeah, dying to talk on that one. Yeah, I think it's about seeing yourself as this unique package, and it's a combination of your skills, your strengths, your experience, these new skills that you've gained, which are, the latest kind of industry skills. But also then there's some human skills that you're showing by the fact that you've actually gone about taking on a career accelerator. You've spent the time and the money to do it. You're really invested in this career. So that makes you stand out in the market. We also, from a coaching perspective, we teach you how to go to market in the new world of work. It is not about applying for job ads. So one of the things, there was a question kind of earlier on about, advice of things people should and shouldn't do. Don't go and look at all the job ads and go, well, they're all requiring 2 to 3 years experience. Nobody advertises a role that's going to have less than 2 to 3 years experience, but people with less experience are getting the roles when they know how to get the roles. So this is what the coaching kind of component is going to teach you, how to get in front of the right people and get known for the right reasons. And one of those reasons which is really stand out is I've invested in myself and in my career to make this change. And that's, can really supersede so many of the people that have got 2 years experience and have plateaued out. So I think that's a, really important point to kind of add in there.
Absolutely. And just to emphasize again that this program has been designed specifically to help people like you make a successful transition into this dynamic field. Like that is what the career, that's where it's stemmed from. So definitely book a one-on-one session with your enrollment advisor if this is something that you're thinking about. They can talk more specifically to what your transferable skills are, what industry you're moving from, what those options can look like for you and what those career goals are and how this program with the practical experience, but also with your career coach can help you. Also, if I go on a little bit later, but there might be an opportunity for you to start your career coaching earlier than actually starting the program as well. And that can give you a little bit of insights. How do you get ahead of what those career goals are and those career outcomes in 2026? You can start working on those in 2025 already. Kind of crazy that we're talking about next year already, if you ask me. But always a good thing to be extra prepared. We've spoken a little bit about this, but what kind of roles do learners who complete this program typically land? Again, it does depend on those transferable skills. It does depend on what your prior experience is. It does depend on what your goal and your outcome is, but you can look at something like a UX researcher, a UX writer, an information architect, a UX or a UI designer, or a UX strategist. So there are kind of vast options that kind of branch off out of doing a program like this. As Justin spoke about, we cover, from the entire life cycle and some of UX and UI and product design. Okay, we actually can wrap up these questions quite quickly so I can move on and let you guys get on with your lunch breaks. But do we get provided materials and resources for further reading and research on the program? And will networking events be shared with us? In short, yeah, Justin, I saw you want to take that. Did you unmute for that?
Yeah, I mean, every topic or every module, we usually have like, if there's additional readings or material, we provide, there's like direct links to that. We also have our references that it's created from. And then the facilitators are often sharing on Circle, or your cohorts sharing articles on Circle as well. Maybe you can talk about the networking events if we have any, but typically within the cohort itself, usually there is like the students that usually live in the UK or London based will typically meet up. There is a graduation party that does happen later as well. And we do recommend like events to go to, like UX Research Conference or other things as well, often UK based. Um, but not always. So, yeah, I don't know about other specific networking events we might offer.
Yeah, but it's also networking on the program, right? You mentioned all the facilitators on the program are industry experts. That's kind of a
Yeah,
direct line if you have any questions or, just insights into it that maybe you're not getting on the program or it's just a little bit more unique to your situation. You have access to them to, an open communication. You've got access to the 35 learners that will be doing the program with you. They come from
yeah,
a variety of different industries and careers. And I often find that on these programs, someone isn't maybe looking to make that career change, but they'll see something in their company that's hiring, they share job opportunities, like they kind of create their own networking community within the program as well. And you get
yeah,
added once you complete the program to all the learners that have graduated from this program. And so you get access to them and also their career milestones that can also help build your career from there. So lots of opportunities throughout the program.
yeah. I
And
can
just to,
answer. Oh, go
yeah,
ahead,
just
Adele.
to
Sorry.
add to the networking, the career coaches are very kind of pro networking. We help you find events that you could go to, conferences that are happening, and people that you should be networking with. So there's no stone unturned on the networking, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And then very quickly, the last question, how honest is the feedback? Will you be telling me directly if my portfolio or my CV is weak and what specifically needs to change? Is it more supportive than corrective? It's, I'm going to just jump in there and say it's very honest, but it's always supportive. All we want is for you to achieve your career goals and to thrive in the industry that you choose to find yourself in after this program. Adele, I don't know if you want to add anything else, but I do want to make sure that we get to the rest of the
Yeah,
information on
no,
this.
no, you said it all there. So yeah.
Perfect. As I mentioned we've spoken about the program overview, the courses, what this program can offer you, but just to kind of reiterate the key outcomes of this program, along with the practical portfolio, is the certificate that you get from King's. A reminder that this program is not an open enrollment, low commitment course. You can't just tick off a list of things that you've done. It's like Adele said, the Career Accelerator is exactly like that personal trainer. It's not going to do the push-ups and the sit-ups for you. You do have to put time and commitment into it, but what you get out of it is kind of this recognition from an institute like King's to really help you stand out with your skills and amongst a pile of CVs out there. And then again, just to recap a few takeaways of this Career Accelerator, it's built to develop real product design capabilities, not just familiarity. You'll graduate with a portfolio of practical work. You'll be supported throughout by a dedicated coaching team and King's College London certificate that really carries weight in the market. If you're feeling inspired about the program, the most important thing to do is to take action. If you haven't booked a meeting with your enrollment advisor, I can highly advise it. They are there to answer all of your questions, but really there to assess why you want to do this program, what your outcomes, your your outcomes are and how they align with the outcomes of the program. And what's really exciting that I did allude to is that if you join now, and we've given our audience an early kind of access to this, it's a head start package, get a head start of 2026. We want to give you access to an AI training webinar and then also early access to your career coach so you can start working on those career goals. It's officially going to launch next week. So if you're interested, please bring it up with your enrollment advisor. They will help you. Spaces are incredibly limited on this. And so I wouldn't really want you to miss out. You guys, you're here for a reason. You're asking questions for a reason. Continue that conversation with your enrollment advisor and see how we can make this program work for you and how a career change and pivot into product design or UX and UI product design can be your next step. If you're unable to book in the calendar, I do know that the calendars have been quite full. As I said, January or February is our most popular time of year for people to take on these types of projects. You can send an email to kings@fourthrev.com and we'll answer any questions that you have if we haven't managed to get through to them during this session. But I just want to say thank you again to everyone for your participation. It's really incredible to see those questions come through, the keen interest in a program like this. Adele, Justin, thank you so much for your time here. It's been really valuable to hear your insights. I'm sure the audience will agree with me. And yeah, I just want to say again, please put in your applications, book with your enrollment advisor. Spaces are limited. The Head Start package is limited. Now is the time to get ahead of that career change for 2026. And we are super excited to support you and help you through that.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.